Welcome to Cinematic Recaps. Today we're diving into the 2013 sci-fi action-adventure movie titled Oblivion by director Joseph Kosinski. Spoilers are ahead, so buckle up, folks. Jack dreams about Earth before the war. He's in New York years before he was born, a place he's only seen pictures of. He sees a woman who smiles at him. He's never met her. It's a dream, but it feels like a memory. Jack wakes up in his present. It's March 14th, 2077, 5 years since the mandatory memory wipe, and he's still haunted by the same dreams. He and Victoria were assigned on a mission to Earth, and in 2 weeks their mission will be over, and they can join the others. They're very different. He's a deep thinker. She isn't. It's been half a century since the alien species, the scavengers, destroyed Earth's moon, wanting to take over the planet because theirs was dying. Without Earth's moon, the planet was thrown into chaos. Earthquakes and tsunamis destroyed cities within hours. When the invasion came, the humans used nuclear weapons and won the war, but the planet was contaminated, with most of it uninhabitable. What remained of humanity left the Earth and built the TET, a temporary space station, before their migration to Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Everyone had already been moved there, while Jack and Victoria stayed back to protect the Hydra rigs, which convert Earth's seawater into fusion energy for the new colony. Humanity's survival depends on it. Scavengers that are left on Earth disrupt their operation. They attack the drones at night and try to kill him during the day. Their mission control calls them an effective team. Victoria is his communication officer, keeping an eye on him. He's in charge of drone maintenance since the drones see everything. Victoria is excited to go to Titan, but Jack feels Earth is still his home. He enters his vessel to go on daily patrol. He engages all systems and checks in with Victoria. She tells him to be careful out there and clears him for takeoff. Later, Jack confirms a visual of the Hydra rigs. Suddenly, Victoria tells him they have 2 drones down. Mission comes online, and Victoria establishes contact with TET, informing Sally. She tells her they have 2 drones down with the perimeter compromised. Victoria relays the information to Jack and links his vessel to the drone's beacon. Jack follows the signal through a storm when his vessel is hit by lightning and loses control, falling. Meanwhile, Victoria tries to convince Mission Control they need parts for some of the drones, so as not to run a skeleton crew. She reminds her they're an effective team. She gives her directives for the day to rehabilitate drone 166 and find drone 172. Jack's still spinning out of control, about to plummet to the ground, when he gains control of his vessel and pulls up. Victoria lost his beacon for a second. He comes up to the location of drone 166. Before he lands, he asks Victoria if there are any movements on the ground, but she has limited visibility. He goes in hot, lands close to the drone, and grabs what he'll need to repair it, and tells Victoria to watch his back. As he fixes the drone, he tells her the world's last Super Bowl, a classic game played right where he stands, with 80,000 people in the audience. Someone else is watching him. Victoria tells him he doesn't have what it takes to fix the drone, but he uses his chewing gum and gets it working. Victoria gets an alert on her optics. Jack turns around only to find a dog. Suddenly, the drone powers on, and Jack fires a shot in the air to scare away the dog so the drone doesn't kill it. He gives the drone his ID and puts away his gun. It scans the area and then blasts off. Later, Jack eats lunch and talks to Victoria about the scavengers being bolder. She tells him the Hydra rigs are sucking up all the water, and once the 2 of them are gone, there will be nothing left but dust and radiation. He has to look for the second drone, and without a beacon to track it, he takes out his bike and rides off. He rides through the desolate landscape that once had water. He gets a signal from the drone somewhere in front of him, but he can't see it. He walks on foot and locates drone 172 in a sinkhole. There's no visual, but he can hear it. He informs Victoria he'll be going in, and she tells him the TET will be offline in 15 minutes. After that, he's on his own. He attaches a rope to his bike and climbs down. Scavengers are still observing him from a distance. Victoria requests drone backup at Jack's location. Jack carefully lowers himself down and can hear the drone, but Victoria doesn't hear him anymore. As he tries to approach the drone, he almost falls. He sees a fallen beam and uses it as a bridge to cross over. He reaches the signal and is shocked to see there's no drone. He tries to get away, but his leg is trapped and he's pulled in. He manages to shoot the rope and free himself. He runs away, shooting at the scavengers. They pull away the beam. He jumps over the gap, almost falling, climbs up, and quickly attaches himself to his rope. He pulls himself up when suddenly one of them shoots and breaks his rope, and he falls back to the ground. The scavengers begin to close in, and just when it seems all hope is lost, drone 166 shows up, scans the area, and starts blasting the scavengers. Jack gives his ID, but the drone doesn't recognize him. It scans him and then blasts off. Jack sees a book on the ground and takes it with him. He succeeds in getting outside and sees that his bike has been stolen. Jack manages to get himself back to base. While he showers, he has another memory of New York. He's doing some repairs on one of the drones and decides to take a look at the book. He starts reading when Victoria steps in and interrupts him. She's preparing dinner as the sun sets behind them. Jack gives Victoria the flowers he found outside. She goes outside and throws them out, reminding him of the regulations and says they might release toxins, and she won't let him put their last 2 weeks at risk. While they have dinner, Jack tells Victoria the scavengers weren't trying to kill him, but to capture him. She goes outside to their pool, takes off her clothes, and dives in. Jack joins her outside and tells her to come with him to the ground someday before they leave. She whispers in his ear and pulls him into the pool. They kiss and immerse themselves in the pool, when suddenly Jack gets another vision of the lady he sees in his dreams. Jack wakes up the next morning and sees a massive explosion in the distance. He goes to explore and sees that one of the hydro rigs has exploded. Jack believes the scavengers weaponized one of the stolen fuel cells from the drones and got it into suction. Suddenly, Jack gets a rogue that's being directed off-planet and believes it's from the scavengers, and instantly goes to investigate. He arrives in the vicinity and sees an old building. He walks in and sees something that's always in his dreams. He continues to follow the sound and sees a few broken mugs on the ground. The scavengers are using the building as an antenna. Victoria quickly decrypts the information and finds it's a set of coordinates in the middle of nowhere. Jack shuts down the beacon and continues on his mission, coming close to the border where radiation is strongest. Before he heads home, Jack decides to do a perimeter check, going offline. He comes to a beautiful ravine and lands his vessel near a lake. He turns on the light, goes in, and adds the few things he'd found to the collection in the house. He plays a nice record and walks out, plays basketball, and tells his fish he's gonna miss this place when he's gone. He then lies down for a nap and has another dream of New York. He wakes up and sees an object falling from the sky and quickly takes off to investigate. Victoria tells him the object landed on one of the beacon's coordinates. She tells him mission is almost offline and informs them of what's happened. Sally tells Jack to stand down since drones have already been sent there. But Jack defies the order and heads there to inspect the site. Jack arrives at the site and sees that the object looks like one of theirs, in pre-war. He lands on the site, goes to investigate, and sees hibernation pods with humans in them. He informs Victoria that there are 5 human survivors in them. The last pod he checks is the woman from his dreams. Suddenly, drones arrive at the site, scan, and begin destroying the pods. Jack orders them to start down. Drone 166 approaches him and clears his ID, but is determined to terminate the pod. He steps in and shoots at the drone, and it backs off. The scavengers are watching him again as he drags the pod into his vessel and takes off. Jack gets home and drags the pod in, asking Victoria to open the door. They open the pod, and Victoria tells him to get the med kit. She tells him they have to report it, but Jack tells her about the drones killing the crew, and Mission wouldn't be pleased. Suddenly, the woman wakes up coughing out breathing fluid and falls back into Jack's arms and calls him by his name. Later, the lady wakes up and asks Victoria where they are. Victoria introduces them and asks her name. She tells Victoria her name is Julia. Victoria then tells her about the crash and that none of her crew survived. She's the only one who made it. Julia tries to wake up but is too weak. They tell her she's been asleep for 60 years. Shocked by the news, she tries to stand up again, saying she must get back to her ship. Victoria tells her to rest and gets a syringe to put her to sleep, but Julia quickly grabs her hand. Later they have dinner, and Jack questions her about the beacon that triggered her ship's re-entry to Earth. He asks about her mission, and she tells him it's classified. Julia says she must get the flight recorder from her ship, but Victoria tells her a lot has changed in 60 years. Jack tells her about the alien invasion and that everyone else is on Saturn's largest moon in the space station, ready to go, but she laughs. Victoria doesn't find it funny. Later, Victoria and Jack talk about Julia, and Victoria tells him she wants her gone. Jack asks her if she has any memory from before their mission. She tells him their job is not to remember and reminds him that a scavenger beacon got her down, and they don't know who or what she is. The scavengers have found where they live. The next morning, Julia's awake, and Jack joins her. He tells her Tet will be online soon, and Victoria will report her rescue, and they'll send someone down for her. Julia tells him she needs to get the flight recorder from her ship, and they need to know what happened. They both leave, and Victoria calls him, saying she can't protect him. But he tells her this one is on him. They arrive at the crash site and walk on foot. Victoria observes them through the vessel's camera. Julia sees the pods of her crew blown up, and Jack tells her he couldn't save them. Victoria sees a movement on the cam and tries to tell them, but fails. Julia finds and gets the flight recorder when suddenly scavengers attack and knock Jack over. He quickly deploys his vessels back home, and they knock him out completely. Victoria sees everything on camera and cries. The next morning, the two of them are being taken somewhere by the scavengers. Jack's vessel returns home, and Mission comes online. Victoria doesn't tell Sally what's happened, but that Jack's gone on patrol and went off comm. She requests a drone for a quick scout, and Sally sends down drone 185. Jack wakes up with a light on his face, restrained. He hears a voice in the shadows reciting a poem from the book he found. Beach lights his cigar and tells him he's been watching him. He asks what he's been looking for in those books. Jack tells him he won't get anything from him because his memory has been wiped to protect the security of the mission. Beach asks if he's ever met a scavenger. He says Jack follows instructions and doesn't ask too many questions, that it's all part of the job description. The lights come on, and Jack is surprised to see a house full of humans. Beach tells him the drones are programmed to kill humans, and that's why they hide. He asks Jack why he protected Julia from the drone, and Jack tells him anyone would have done that. Sergeant Sykes walks in and says a drone will track him to their hideout, and they then remove his chains. Victoria scans a trail of DNA, and Sally confirms it's Jack's. She's happy. Beach takes Jack to their underground facility and tells him they brought down Julia's ship for its reactor. He tells Jack that the reactor, together with the drone fuel cell, will give them a nuke. He shows Jack one of the drones they've captured to carry the nuke. They can't access it, but Jack can. Drone 185 is tracking his DNA to their hideout. Beach tells him they need him to program the drone to carry their nuke up to the center of the TED and end the war. Jack refuses, saying there are people up there, and Sykes shoots him. They bring in Julia and threaten to shoot her when suddenly an alarm activates, informing them of the incoming drone. It arrives at their hideout and scans the area. The scavengers try to take it down, but it takes out a few of them until Sykes destroys it. Victoria and Sally confirm the drone's gone down, and Victoria requests 2 additional drones. Jack tells the scavengers more drones will come and asks them to let him and Julia go, promising to call off the drones. Beach is ready to let them go, and he tells Jack he'll find the truth in one of their radiation zones. Jack and Julia drive away, and Sykes comes running. He tells Beach he's risking their entire operation by believing Jack is different. Jack's bike runs low in fuel, and they continue the rest of their journey on foot. They come to a building, and Jack sends Victoria a message. She tells Mission Jack's alive, and Sally calls off the other drones. Victoria sends the vessel to Jack. While they wait, Jack asks Julia what her mission on the ship was and what she's hiding from him. She tells him her mission was a research flight to Titan, but 6 weeks to lunch, deep space scanners picked up an alien object, and they were reassigned to investigate. She tells him they were all in hibernation, but it appears he and Victoria were woken up early. She tells him the alien object was the TET, but Jack disagrees, saying it's impossible. He asks who she is, and she tells him she's his wife, and he's not himself anymore. She tells him it is right where they stand that he asked her to marry him. Jack begins to recall memories from his last. The vessel arrives and Victoria sees them embracing and bursts into tears. They arrive and she refuses to open the door. Jack tells her it's not safe and they need to leave. He explains that Julia is his wife. Victoria calls Mission and tells them about Julia. She says she and Jack are no longer an effective team. Suddenly the door opens and one of the drones they have at home activates. Jack tries to convince her to come with them, but she tells him to stay away from her and refuses to believe anything he says. The drone suddenly shows up and kills her. It approaches Jack, ready to terminate him, but Julia takes it out. Jack finally talks to Sally, who tells him that what happened to Victoria was tragic. She tells him she's been authorized to assign him and Julia a new mission. They leave in the vessel, and TET sends drones after them. He quickly tells Julia to hang on and takes them into the storm. The drones get hit by lightning. It stops them for a moment, but they continue their chase. Jack hides the vessel behind a waterfall, and the drones miss them. Jack comes up behind and destroys one of them. He continues chasing, destroying another. The last one, drone 166, is resilient. It tries to crash their ship. They get outside and it pushes them into the radiation zone. It goes around and starts firing, but Jack takes it out, and it crashes into them, destroying the ship. Jack quickly pulls the lever, ejecting them before the vessel crashes. They're left stranded in the radiation zone when suddenly he hears the sound of a drone. He runs to see if it's online, and a vessel that looks like his own lands next to drone 166. He runs towards the man, telling him to wait. He arrives and sees that the man is himself. He tells him to drop his weapon. Jack tells him they have to shoot the drone, when suddenly Julia arrives, and the other Jack has a memory of her. The two start fighting, and Jack 46 uses a gun to shoot down the drone. The other Jack takes the weapon from his hands and they start fighting hand to hand. The first Jack succeeds in incapacitating the second and sees the drone powering up. He runs and takes out its fuel cell, shutting it down. He calls for Julia and sees that she's lying on the ground bleeding. He carries her to safety and runs to the vessel, where he sees the number 52 written on it. He goes back and ties Jack 52 and takes his vessel to his home. He gets there and notices everything is the same. He finds the med kit and grabs what he needs. He's about leaving when Victoria 52 sees him. He succeeds in convincing her he's her Jack and asks her to come down with him, but she turns him down. He gets back and sees that Jack 52 has escaped. He quickly runs and treats Julia's wounds. He gets her into the vessel and flies away. Later, she wakes up fully healed and takes a tour around the lake house, playing one of Jack's records. She joins him outside and he tells her he knows he's not the original, but he's loved her for as long as he can remember. She tells him he's always promised to build her a house by the lake and kisses him. The next morning, Jack prepares to go help Beach and the others, promising to return when it's over. They arrive at the hideout and Sykes shows up behind them, pointing a gun at Jack. Beach walks out and is happy to see he's decided to prove Sykes wrong. Ted goes over the data from when Jack was captured and locates the scavenger's hideout. It sends 3 drones after them. Jack is programming the drone while Beach tells them the story of everything that happened, from the destruction of the moon to the starvation of half the population. He goes on saying the TET invaded the planet with thousands of troops that all look like him. Astronaut Jack Harper, memory wiped and programmed to kill. He says TET is a brilliant machine feeding off planets for energy. Beach says phase 2 of the invasion was the Hydra rig sucking up their oceans. He says when Jack picked up the book, he saw a way to get to him. And when he stood in front of drone 166 to save Julia, he was convinced he could bring him back. Jack activates drone 172, and Beach says he'd love to see Ted's face when the nuke goes off. It would be a one-way trip, but it will be worth it. The humans prepare the drone for its final mission and open the gate. But unfortunately, the 3 drones are already there. They come in and start killing the humans. The humans return fire, but the machines are stronger and kill most of them. Beach takes control of the machine gun and shoots at one of them. Julia and the other non-fighters run and get trapped when one of the drones prepares to take them all out. But Sykes destroys it. Jack shoots at one of the drones, and it explodes in a tunnel, and the flames travel towards him. He quickly jumps to safety. After the fight, Beach is severely wounded and tells Jack to send the drone. Jack tells him their plan has failed. He offers to take the drone up when Julia brings up a plan. He tells him the TET asked him to bring her up, so taking her in a pod will present an opportunity to sneak the bomb in. They say goodbye in front of a painting that reminds her of home. They prepare the explosive device in a pod, and Jack sets Julia in. She kisses him, and he lays her down, telling her to dream of them. He drags the pod outside to his vessel and sets a course to TET. During the flight, he plays the flight recorder and remembers everything. During their mission, he was the mission commander on the spaceship Odyssey, and Sally was the NASA's mission control. Victoria was his co-pilot, and the rest of the crew, including Sally, were in hibernation. Jack approaches Ted and tells it he's bringing in the survivor from the crash. It asks him to state his intention, and he does. TET grants him entry. In his memory, Jack recalls that when they approached the target, it began pulling them in, and he made the decision to eject the pods back to Earth, and he and Sally were pulled in. When he gets in, Ted sends 3 drones on him, powers off his vessel, and asks him why he's come. He tells her he wants Julia to live and their species to survive, and that's the only way. She approves his entry and turns his vessel back on. Jack proceeds to land, and along the way, he sees the many clones of himself. He lands close to Ted and takes out the pod and tells it a story about Horatius, a Roman who held a bridge alone against a whole army. He tells Ted about what Horatius said. How can a man die better? TET tells him neither he nor Julia has to die. Jack tells it everyone will die. And the most important thing is to die well. He opens the pod, and Beach comes out. Julia's pod opens as well, but she wakes in the house next to the lake. She gets out and sees the painting Jack had put in her pod as a reminder of home. Drones approach the surviving humans. Jack activates the nuke, and together he and Beach hit the kill switch, destroying Ted. Simultaneously, all its drones are destroyed as well. Sykes and Julia watch the big explosion in the sky. 3 years later, Julia lives at the lake house with her and Jack's daughter. Suddenly, the remaining survivors show up at the lake house. Jack 52, who happens to be the original Jack, is with them as well. He's been searching for the lake house for 3 years and is finally reunited with his family. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notification so you'll be the first to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.